I'm a lit kid, B.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Monday, April 22nd edition of the Daily Fix. We appreciate you joining us. This is a live session today. So we've kind of stepped away from the behind the scenes that we have with the community and wanted to give people a preview, allow them to see what happens on a daily basis with the Daily Fix. I'm your moderator, Breon, and Brittany will be on with us in just 1 second. Just wanted to go through a few announcements before we got started with today's session. So for those of you who are with us at all times, you know how the process goes, but did want to give people a little insight on how things work and how things go. So if you're new here, if this is your first day, if this is your first time seeing us, the Daily Fix is a mindset community that allows us to build, strengthen bonds, challenge some of those assumptions that we've made before, and also have an opportunity to interact with people who are on a self-discovery, self-fulfillment journey. So if you're here, you're in the right place, and we appreciate you joining us here this morning. To get started, if you have questions, if you're in the group already, or if you have questions, if you're interested in possibly being a part of the group, you can always send us a note to tdftribe@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with us. It's a monitored email box. A few people will be able to see that. So if you do have questions, you can always email us at tdftribe@gmail.com. A couple of quick announcements before we get started with today's session. Just to get you oriented with how the process would work. So if you're kind of sneaking in today to see how things are, or, of course, you're newer to the community or just need a refresh, on Mondays and Tuesdays, we have Coach Brittany content, setting up the theme of the week, getting us set from what we've been talking about throughout the month. And we have that time period for us on Mondays and Tuesdays to kickstart our weeks. On Wednesdays, we have a special guest. Of course, this Wednesday, the last Wednesday, or one of the last Wednesdays of the month, of course, this month being a little different, we have a guest from within the community, kind of share a story, something that they're passionate about, or also just engage us with the community. So we're always excited about the last Wednesday of the month. And then, of course, we also have on Thursdays, every other, our evening sessions allow us to change it from the morning frequency, give people a chance to join us in the evening, 7 p.m. And then every Friday, we want those cameras on. We're eager to get you involved. We go to our platform on Zoom. There on Zoom, we allow you all to join us, share messages. We always start with wins of the week because, of course, regardless of how small that win is, we still want you to be able to share. Stacking those wins leads to greater success. Then at the same time, you can ask any question that you have. Maybe it's related to the content, maybe related to something that you haven't been able to solve, or maybe something that you've just been, picking at you and you want to see if others had a similar question. We would love for you to join us on that Friday as well. Last but not least, before I bring Brittany on and we get started with today's session, you will see the comments are on the screen. So if you have a question or something that you would prefer to be more private, maybe not said in such a public platform, because we'll have a variety of people who are on today. You can always, again, send us that question to tdftribe@gmail.com. We'll be happy to answer, happy to get back with you because we do use the video again that we post here today. So let's bring Brittany in to get started with today's session. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well. We've got some cooler weather for whatever reason in Houston. And I'm going to take advantage of that at some point today. How about yourself?
Well, the sun is out. Okay. My car is clean. Okay. I did a lot of spring cleaning this weekend, but I did rest like I said I was going to. I did get some sleep. So I'm fully energized today. I worked out this morning and the pre-workout is still in my system. So you know what happens after that.
You start doing rap hands. Yeah.
I start doing my rap hands early in the morning.
The hands get higher and higher the more. That what it is?
Listen, it's all energy today. All energy today. So I'm excited.
No, we're excited. I let everyone know that this is a, kind of behind the scenes look for people. So if you want to give a bit more before you jump into today's session.
This is your first time in the Daily Fix. Welcome, Instagram. Hey, y'all. We do have Instagram joining us this morning. We also have YouTube joining us this morning. We have all of our members from the Daily Fix Patreon.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
all 1,000 of you.
They're here.
We're invited. Okay, and then we have our OGs, our TDF OG tribe who has been with us every morning. Welcome back, Miss Tamika, Miss Allie, Maya, Janae, Allison. We see you guys. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. So, what are we talking about today?
All right. So, for those of you who have been with us since day one, of this month, y'all know the month of April, we dedicated this month to talking about how to fully embrace your full self. We talk about elevating your vibe, right? So, how do I reach a place in my life where I am showing up unapologetically myself in all areas of my life? We started off the month talking about that bamboo tree, all
Yeah.
right? We talked about growing down before you grow up, right? We've talked about the dysfunctional family patterns that impact how we show up. We've talked about how we limit ourselves and our own thought processes. So this morning, I want to kick off our conversation with what I think is my favorite topic. And it could be because I'm a Virgo or not, I don't know. Or because it's just me. But today we're talking about your villain era. Okay? And
Look, what?
I love a good villain era. Okay. I love a good villain story. You know, I'm always watching like the fantasy
Yes.
stories. Like this weekend, I watched, I forget the name of it, but it was Good Witches versus Bad Witches. And, you know, you had to figure out like one witch was half witch. It's just always a story.
Look. We have company today. You
We do have
you over
company.
here talking about being a villain and all that. You know that this
Oh,
is.
we're talking about the villain era today. Okay. So for all of my people pleasers, I'm coming down your street today. For all of my people who are afraid of confrontation, I'm coming down your street today. For all of my people who are afraid of rejection, I'm coming down your street today. All right. So in the chat, if you are ready, put I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready.
And for those of you who are first time seeing this is where I will drop because you know I'm not a villain. You know what I'm saying? I'm.
Oh no, no, no,
What
no,
would you mean?
no,
Wait,
no,
hold on,
no,
hold on.
my
What you
friend.
mean?
See,
Like,
this is what I'm talking about. You be trying to act like, okay, you try to act like we're so different. You try to act like I'm the villain and you're the good guy. That is,
this is it. I'm definitely the good guy in this dynamic. I am without question. What do you mean? Why? Wait, why are you looking at me with disapproval? This is
I've
not,
known you long enough, Breon.
look, y'all enjoy the session. Again, if y'all have questions, you can email us at tdftribe@gmail.com. We will respond and have a good session this morning.
Very good. All right, you guys. Welcome. I hope y'all had a wonderful weekend. If y'all are ready, Instagram, I see the I'm ready's. I see the I'm ready. Hey, from South Africa. Okay. Listen, I've known Breon. There have been times where I have chosen peace and Breon has chosen violence. Okay. So don't let him make it seem like I'm the problem. Okay. But when we talk about our villain era, the reason why we have to have this conversation is because as I am teaching you guys how to truly embrace your full authentic self and show that self to the world, you have to understand that the more authentic you become, the less likely it is that you're a one size fits all. Okay, if you're taking notes, the more authentic I become, the less likely it is that I'm going to be a one size fits all. And that means that I'm not going to fit in every group. That means that I'm not going to fit in every circle. That means that I may not be accepted at certain tables. That means that certain rooms may not recognize me. And so I have to be willing to truly own who I am. It means that I'm going to have to be willing to upset some people. When we talk about the villain era, all right, this is really, for me, my villain era happened years ago, okay? It happened years ago when I got to a point to where I was realizing that there is a true price you pay for everybody liking you. There is truly a price you pay for trying to make everybody happy. There is truly a price that you pay when you are willing to constantly change and shift to be what other people need you to be in every room you walk in. As long as I am shifting and changing and becoming these other things, very much like a chameleon, yes, I'm satisfying the expectations of these people, but I'm disappointing myself. The more you the better you get at doing all the work that we've talked about this month, the self introspection, holding your own boundaries, being clear with yourself, understanding your patterns, The more you start to walk into your authentic self, it's like you start to feel this urge to want to break out of this box, to want to break out of this cage. The cage is always going to be societal norms. What has the world told you to be? What has your family told you to be? What did your job tell you to be? As you start walking more into your authentic self, your creativity starts to come back. You start to see different routes and options that you can take with your life that you may have never considered before. When you really have dedicated yourself to operating in a way that serves you, I'm telling you, it's like the world opens up and the possibilities of who you could be, what you can have, where you can go. It all becomes endless, right? And in order to do that, y'all, I got to be willing. I got to be willing to upset some people, all right? So the villain, and while the villain, when we think of villain, we think of, the bad guys in the story, right? And it's not that the villain is always the bad guy, but when I tell you guys that I want you to be the villain in your or into your villain era, this means that this is the part of your life where you get to become unapologetically yourself and putting yourself first, even if other people don't like it. Okay. I have my water today and I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, are you gonna get through it all? So what is my villain era? Okay. My villain era is when I have learned how to trust myself. I have greater confidence in who I am. All right. To build self confidence, you build self confidence by what you do, not by what you hope to do. Catch that. You build self confidence by what you do, not by what you hope to do. So if you're in a season where you're trying to grow more confident in yourself and learn to trust yourself more, the answer to that equation is always going to be wrapped up in what are you doing? As long as you are constantly actively walking in the person that you say you want to be, even when it's hard, even when it's difficult, even when you're being judged, that is what builds the confidence for you to be yourself. This is why every opportunity you get to be honest about who you are, you got to take that opportunity. Every opportunity you get to show up bigger in your life, you have to take that opportunity. The more I take those opportunities, I'm teaching myself I can trust me. I'm teaching myself that I'm confident. I'm teaching myself that I may have what it takes to make this dream possible. It's taking, all right, y'all, listen. I don't know why I do this to myself. It always comes back to what I did this morning. So this morning, I've been telling myself for about 3 weeks that I'm going to start running sprints at the gym. I've been telling myself this for 3 weeks. And this morning, the treadmill that I normally use to do my elevated walk was broke. And so I was like, man, you got two options. You can either sprint or you can do the Stairmaster. And I was like, well, me and the Stairmaster, that just makes me angry. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to do these sprints. So I started doing the sprints, y'all. And if y'all could have heard my self-talk, I told myself I was going to do 10 sprints. I got to 7 before I was just done, right? And I was like, man, you could have got 10. But I realized, I said, Brittany, 7 is more than you've done in 3 weeks. For your first day doing these sprints, you got to 7. Yes, the goal was 10, but you got to 7 on day 1. So that means before Friday, you'll be at 10. The confidence is renewed, not because I hit my goal of 10, but because I did it. Your confidence grows because you did the thing you said you were going to do, even if you didn't hit the goal. Right? So we talked about it in January that we measure our progress not by whether or not we hit the goal, but what was your attempt like? Did you even attempt to do the sprints? Did you even attempt to eat right this week? Did you even attempt to speak up in that meeting? What was your attempt like? The attempt grows your confidence. It's always a matter of time before you hit the goal. Hitting the goal is never the question. But did you attempt? And so many people lack confidence because you are failing to attempt, because you don't want to fail. And I don't want to know, I don't want them to look at me a certain way. And I don't want them to judge me. And what if they say this? And what if they say that? So because you're afraid of what people may say because you didn't hit the goal, your self-confidence stays stagnated because you didn't attempt. And every time you don't attempt, you are teaching yourself, I cannot trust me. Every time you say, I'm going to do something and you don't do it, you're teaching yourself, I may not have what it takes. So, entering into my villain era, number one, we have to prioritize the attempt. My self confidence grows through my attempts at success, not by hitting the goal. All right. So, release control over the outcome so that I can stay in control of my process. All right. Release control of the outcome so that I can be in control of my process. Okay. You're in your villain era, we have to rediscover your sense of freedom. What does freedom mean to you? That's a whole journal prompt. What is freedom to me? What feels like freedom to me? Luckily, by the grace of God, I was born a middle child. By the grace of God, I was born a middle child. And so I am naturally rebellious. And it got me in a lot of trouble when I was a kid. It got me in a lot of trouble because I was the kid. You couldn't just tell me, don't do this. If you didn't tell me why I couldn't do it and explain it to me why I couldn't do it, then I was going to have to find out for myself. I just had to. You couldn't say, Brittany, don't go to that side of the street without telling me why I couldn't go. Like I'm not the kid you could just say because I said so. No. Why? And if you don't tell me why, I'm going to go figure out for myself why I should not have gone over there. That's how I've been my whole life, right? So when we talk about redefining freedom, I had to redefine what freedom looked like to me because, catch this, when we have gone through seasons of trial and tribulation, we've gone through seasons of lack and poverty, when we've gone through seasons of trauma and pain, you have no idea how many constraints are placed on us mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically that we don't outgrow until we completely dispel that from ourselves. Saying that to say that freedom many times means that I have to release myself of expectations that don't apply to me. Freedom sometimes means that I have to outgrow the ways that I learned to protect myself in seasons of trauma. Freedom sometimes means learning to reconnect with the parts of myself that I lost or forfeited during the trying seasons of my life. Sometimes we have become so constricted in our emotional expression, in our vocabulary, how we talk, what we talk about, how we show up, that we don't even realize how chained down we are because of seasons that we have already survived. Freedom, does it look like joy to you? Does it look like being able to go where I want to go to you? Does freedom look like being able to have a real laugh? Does freedom look like being able to say what I need to say without feeling guilty about what I need to say? Does freedom look like being able to love who I want to love? Does freedom look like being able to do what I want to do without the fear holding me back? What does freedom look like to you? Because many times we are so chained and constricted by what we think we can and can't do, can and can't have, that we are just living shells of our own lives. Just living shells. Going to work, going home, going to church, in the gym. Going to work, going home, going to church, in the gym, right? You got 2 or 3 restaurants that you try out every day, and you go to them same 2 or 3 restaurants, right? When it's time for you to travel, you go to the same places every time, and you create this life that lacks. It definitely lacks abundance, but it lacks adventure. It lacks spontaneity. It lacks the things that truly light you up. It lacks risk. It lacks adventure. It lacks. I think of, y'all know I love Lord of the Rings, right? Y'all know I love Lord of the Rings, and I think this is why I like adventure so much. Like, I will go hiking on a trail. Now, mind you, I do watch a lot of stuff that, be in the back of my head. But this is why I like solo trips. This is why, like, I will go on a solo trip and just explore a total new country, new culture, not on my phone, not taking pictures, just completely lost in the experience. I like the idea of being able to roam freely and explore and experience something new, right? Many of us, we have to redefine, what does freedom mean to me in this season of my life? What feels free to me? If you constantly feel like everything you do in your life is out of obligation or responsibility, That is a weight that holds us down and it strips us of feeling fulfilled. Okay. So you have to redefine freedom. Okay. Embrace fearlessness in the face of challenges. Okay. Embrace fearlessness in the face of challenges. Stepping into my villain era means, all right. This is where we get real cocky for a little bit. Can we get cocky for a little bit, y'all? Can we get cocky for just a little bit? All right. So y'all, I like fairy tale movies. So I'm always thinking of the movies that I've seen before, right? But have y'all ever seen like a movie? I'm trying to think of one where two villains end up fighting each other. When you talk about stepping into your villain era, this is where you become so I would say beast mode. Like you become so empowered in who you are that you're willing to stand up to the things that scare you. So this is the part of your story where you get to stand up to the boogeyman. This is the part of your story where you get to stand up to the thing that you thought you would never be able to do. This is the part of your story where you say, I'm going to put my name in the hat to be picked for that promotion. This is the part of your story where it's not even confidence, but it's the courage to say, I want to find out what happens when I stop running from what scares me. I want to find out what happens when I stop forfeiting what I could have out of the what if scenarios I've created in my head. This is the part of your story where you stand up to the bad guy. Okay. When my mother, when we were younger, and I'd be like, oh, so and so got in a fight, and my mother promoted us fighting. Okay, she was fine with us fighting. she would say, if I had to fight somebody bigger than me, she would be like, well, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, right? This is where you walk in to your life with that mentality. No matter what's up against me, I'm willing to face off with you, and having a true understanding that this is this and for some time, okay. For y'all joining, okay, my MFT family is used to me getting lost in these stories. But this is where you find out I'm willing to fight to the death. And when I say fight to the death, you guys, I'm talking about when I'm fighting to the death of what scares me, I'm killing something within myself that makes me weak. When I'm running on that treadmill, sprinting, okay, one of my automatic thoughts this morning when I was sprinting, I said, oh my God, I'm dying in slow motion. Because that's what sprinting feels like. It feels like I'm dying slowly, right? But I have to realize when I am facing off with the thing that scares me, I'm killing the lack of motivation. I'm killing the lack of self-belief. I'm killing the laziness in me. I'm killing the procrastination in me. I'm fighting to the death. And the thing that's dying is the thing that's making me weak. I'm willing to face off until that thing in me that keeps holding me back is going to die. It's me or them. It's me or them. Right? So when I say in your villain era, you're facing off to the death, what is it inside of you that you're willing to kill so that you can see the larger version of you come into life? It's a fight to the death. This is where your ego dies. This is where your pride dies. This is where your unbelief dies. This is where your quitting when it gets hard dies. I got to kill something in me. Do you know what you got to kill in you so that you can access the bigger parts of you? All right. So in my villain era, I'm willing to fight to the death for me. Okay. That weak mentality has to die today. Right. And for me, when I work out, I always say, all you have is this moment. Right. In this next 60 seconds that you're running, in this next 30 seconds, in this next 5 minutes, right now, all you have is you and the part of you that wants to quit. That's it. It's just me and them facing off. And I get to decide whether or not they win. You get to decide whether or not the lower version of you wins. All right. Okay. Now let me move on because I'm gonna run out of time. Okay. In the chat, let me hear y'all say, I'm making somebody mad today. We're making somebody mad today, okay? Your villain error all boils down to setting boundaries. And what boundaries does that mean? Because first of all, if y'all are new to the tribe and y'all have not heard me talk about boundaries in terms of boundaries on ourselves and boundaries on other people. There are two different types of boundaries. So when I'm walking into my villain era, in order for me to set boundaries, there's a few boundaries that I want you guys to ponder on, think about how you want to employ them. But the first one, you need to identify your limits. You need to identify your limits. Understand what you can and cannot tolerate, both emotionally, mentally, and physically. What are your limitations? I'm saying this because many times we will push past our limits because we don't want to upset people. We will push past our limits because we don't want to let other people down. We will push past our limits because we want to live up to an expectation of what other people have for us. And so instead of being true and honoring who we are, how we feel, what we need, we will push ourselves past our limits. And you know what happens when you push past your limits? You break down. I have no idea what kind of engine is in my car. None. Okay. The mechanic asked me that the other day. He was like, "What kind of engine?" I don't know, sir. Is that on some paperwork somewhere? He's like, "You don't know what kind of engine?" No, I don't know what kind of engine it is. Okay. Where can I find that information? But I do know, because I happen to be a speed demon, that whatever engine you have in your car, when you're driving, if you push past the limit of your engine will give out. I do know that. Right? We are no different. That we have our own limitations, and many times those limitations are there for a reason, right? There are seasons where we have certain limitations. I truly believe that many times the limitations we have, first of all, are there on purpose. Because if I had the ability to push past my limits all the time, I would never truly understand what it is that I need to thrive. I would have no understanding of my priorities. I would have no understanding of what I'm supposed to be grasping in this season, because we are always notorious for skipping ahead, trying to get to the end line, to the finish line before we did the work in between, right? Understand your limits. This is where you have to become comfortable saying no. In your villain era, you have to truly, truly, truly understand, I don't owe anyone anything. Let that sink in. Because this is one that I really had to work on. Giving myself permission to understand I don't owe anyone anything, even the people who are good to me, even the people who love me, even the people who want the best for me. Because what happens is we create in our minds that in order for me to be a good friend, a good lover, a good sister, a good daughter, a good brother, a good whatever, in order for me to be good, I have to constantly be giving back something in order to prove my goodness. That because someone loved on me, I must owe them something now. Because they did this for me, now I owe them that. I have to give it back to them. I have to show my worth. I have to show my value. And what the closest people in my life has taught me, that even when I have nothing, I'm still valuable to them. If anything, the people that think I owe them the most have given me the least. The people who think I owe them the most have given me the least. And you know what they use to justify it? Man, we've been knowing each other since we were kids. I'm your family. We grew up together. They think that because we share the same bloodline, I owe them. They think that because they've known me for a long time, I owe them. They think that because, they were there for me one time, or they were there this time, that I owe them. And I have told people before, tell me what my debt is to you so that I can pay it off now. Let me know. Don't offer to help me if now I have a running tab that I must repay. If this is going to be transactional, then let me know it's transactional. I will happily get it back to you. But don't allow yourself to be in situations, especially relational situations, where you feel like I am indebted and I owe people something. Because what happens is when I feel like I owe you, I will compromise my own needs, wants, values, belief system in order to pay this person back. And for the people who have a very fractured self-image, you will get caught in the trap of trying to prove to people your worth based on how much you think you owe them. So you're not really creating an image based on who you are. You can't even stand in who you are because you keep trying to pay off these imaginary debts to people. Walking into my villain era gives me permission to say, I don't owe you that. To your parents. Now, Instagram, I know y'all were not on last week where we talked about dysfunctional family systems. Um, but I'm saying this because I know a lot of people are in this situation where it's hard for you to set boundaries with your parental figures, especially if they're unhealthy parental figures, because they're my mom, they're my dad, they're my grandma. And out of relation, I feel indebted. I need you guys to really think about with who you are today, right? With who you are today, taking relation out of it, this person, I don't know, Tara, James, okay, Vicky, them, with who they are today, how much have they invested into you? And if we think of it like a bank account, with how much you've invested, how much can they withdraw? How much can you withdraw? I had an aunt who saw me on Sherry Shepherd. I ain't talked to this aunt in years. Saw me on Sherry Shepherd. She called me to let me know that she was upset that one, I did not tell her I was going to be on Sherry Shepherd, and two, I didn't offer to take her with me. I ain't talked to this lady in years. And I politely told her, I said, ma'am, I haven't talked to you in years. Would you like to know how I'm doing before you ask me why I didn't take you with me on something that you ain't invested nothing in? I'm real quick with it, okay? I'm so quick with it. And I'm gonna come back to why I'm quick with it. But it is okay to ask yourself, how much have they invested? Right? And this is big for my people pleasers. This is big for my people who want to make people happy. It is okay for you to question the investment. It is okay for you to question the investment and ask myself, based on what they give to me, based on how available they are, based on how I feel in their presence, am I comfortable enough to give this person a piece of my life, my energy, my resources? It is okay for you to question that. Okay. In your setting boundaries in your villain era, you want to be honest and you want to be assertive about your needs and expectations. All right. When we talk about communicating in our villain era, some of my clients, y'all know I have come down on y'all because they'll be like, "Oh, I set the boundary. I set the boundary." Y'all be like, "Oh, y'all did okay, great, awesome. Tell me how you said it." And I'm like, I told them that I'm not going to be available sometimes. I said, okay. Well, did you mean sometimes or anytime? Well, I meant anytime, but I said sometimes. When we are setting boundaries in our villain era, mean what you say and say what you mean and leave no room for error. Leave no room for imaginary scenarios. This is where we have to be very clear, and you become a lot more intentional about your word choice, right? Because I was definitely the person who would try to leave a door open because I didn't want to hurt people's feelings and I didn't want to upset people. And so I'd be like, oh, yeah, remind me, and I may be able to make it, I'll try to, but all the while I knew I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And your villain era is, hey, unfortunately, I just don't have capacity for that. But I wish you all the best, okay? Right? Because when you don't honor how you truly feel, what you truly need, all it does is create more anxiety, more turmoil, because now I'm trying to figure out, how do I actually get out of this thing that I just got into and I really don't want to be there. So in my villain era, our communication becomes a lot more concise. Use less words to create more impact. This is why I love the word no. It's a complete sentence. Brittany, are you available? No. It's a complete sentence, right? Less words have more impact, right? And it creates less room for confusion and confrontation when you're very clear and concise. And never be afraid to reinforce to uphold your boundary. There will always be people who test your boundaries, always and forever. You have to be ready to stand on that boundary by reinforcing it. Again, when I spoke to you this morning, when I spoke to you last week, the last conversation we had about this, I told you how I felt about that. My feelings haven't changed, right? Be willing to reinforce your boundaries so that people understand, dang, they really not moving. And I'm telling you, if this is new for you, your circle is going to be very new to you using these boundaries. Do not be afraid to stand on that boundary. All right. Now, one of my favorite topics when we talk about your villain error, we have to start embracing your self respect. What does self respect actually mean? Okay. Self respect is where you stand firm on your worth and you're not afraid to walk away from the table if what's being served does not honor you. I don't care how hard you try. Talking yourself into eating hamburger helper will never make it a steak dinner. If somebody's serving you hamburger helper with cornbread on the side, although I do love cornbread, it ain't never gonna be a steak dinner. Now, I have two choices. I can stay at this table and I can eat what's being served, or I can say I would rather have my steak dinner. You have to decide when we talk about self respect and self worth, how much you value yourself and respect yourself all comes down to what you accept when it comes to this world. And I'm not just talking about relationships, I'm talking about on your jobs, right? They supposed to been upped your salary, been giving you the promotion, right? They should have been giving you a award for best employee of the month. You there every time, on time, helping other people out, helping train people, and they don't even mention your name at the staff meeting. You should have been said, I'm gonna go somewhere that honors my presence, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's with my family, whether it's on a job, whether it's in my friendships, whether it's in a social circle. I'm going somewhere that honors and respects and values my presence. Be in rooms that get excited when you walk in. I can't stress that enough. Be in rooms that get excited when you walk in. If I walk into a room and everybody treats me common and I should be here, oh, y'all done got too comfortable. Y'all done got too comfortable. Too comfortable with my presence. And the sad truth is that the more familiar people get with you, the more they take you for granted, which cool. But be willing to remind people of your presence. I'm so petty. I tell people, well, okay, if I'm just being specific, I tell my trainer, I tell Breon, I'll be like, y'all gonna miss me when I'm gone. Y'all want to keep treating me badly? Okay. You want me to do 20 more squats? Cool. But just know one day I'm not going to be here and you're going to miss me when I'm gone. But know that that is the truth. When you are someone who is of high value, when you are someone who's done the work, when you are someone who acts off of integrity, who has a kind heart, who is loving, who is giving, the truth is you will be missed when you are gone. Start acting like it. It is a privilege for people to have you in their life. It is a privilege for people to have your attention. It is a privilege for people, listen, it is a privilege for me to call or text you back. You're not entitled to that, right? You are not entitled to my attention. You're not entitled to my communication. Just because you entered my life don't mean you get to stay there. That means you need to move as if you know that it is a privilege to be in my life. And I know that it's a privilege for you to be in mine, right? When I'm talking about self-respect, do you respect yourself enough to say, this is not something I want to eat? And when it's hard to walk away, it's because you have valued the relationship more than you have valued yourself. You valued the connection more than you valued yourself. It was a thing, what did I hear this week? I don't know. It was somebody said it, I think, on Instagram, but they said the most dangerous thing somebody can do is leave you for themselves. If I left you for another person, you'd be fine. If I left you for a job, you'd be fine. But when I leave you for me, because I want my own self respect, because I want to be able to sleep at night, because I want to be able to breathe freely, when I leave you for myself, I'm not coming back. Because I like who I am. And this is why you got to do the work. Before you get to a villain era, for those of you who have not been with us all month, okay, before you get to the villain era, there's a self-liberation era that has to take place first. Because when I have valued my own attention, when I have valued my own presence, when I have valued my own happiness, when I fall in love with me being happy and me being joyful, and I'm skipping and I'm singing, when I get that version of me back, there's nobody that I'm willing to betray for that version of me. I like me when I'm joyful. I like me when I'm loving. I like me when I'm kind. And if your presence steals that from me, listen here. It ain't nobody that I'm going back to not being able to eat for. I like food. It ain't nobody that I'm going back to not being able to sleep for. I like sleep. When I leave you for me, I'm gone, right? I don't know how to block people. And Breon's not gone. Dang it, Breon's gone. I'm gonna figure out how to block somebody. That's the. Let me see if I can do it. Hold on. When I need Breon. Okay. All right, you guys. Let me wrap this up for us. So, how do I embrace my feminine, not feminine, your villain era, right? Number one, identify your true desires. Identify your true desires. In order for me to walk into my, thank you, Desi. In order to walk into my villain era confidently, I got to stop living for other people, right? I got to start making decisions that honor me, even though they may be scary. Most importantly, for many of you, in order to walk into your villain era confidently, you have to start honoring what you truly desire without needing the validation of other people. You got to stop waiting for people to co-sign on what you want to do. You got to stop waiting on people to get behind you. You got to stop waiting on people to go with you. You got to stop waiting on people to say, "Oh, I believe in you." You got to stop waiting on people to say, "Oh, I think you can do it." You got to get to the point where you say, "I think I can do this and I'm going to try. I think I'm going to do it and I'm going to try." Right? We started off this conversation with the try, right? What is it that you truly want to do without thinking that it's wrong or it's unattainable? And what if I don't make it the right way? Or what if I fail? If failure wasn't an option, if you knew without a doubt, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be successful, what would you do? All right, that's the magical question. If failure was not an option, that no matter what I did, I was going to be successful, what would you do that honors you? Not because I want to make money, not because I want a relationship, not because I think it'll make people like me, but what would you do that is fulfilling to you in your soul, that makes you happy, that would give you a sense of freedom, a sense of success, a sense of joyfulness? What would you do? That is the magical question. So many people make decisions based on how much money I want to make, based on what kind of car I want to buy, what kind of house I want. And that's all true. But let me tell you, your success chases your purpose. Your success shows up in your purpose, right? People buy refrigerators because they know how to keep stuff cold. I wouldn't buy a refrigerator because it kept everything hot. That defeats the purpose of a refrigerator. I don't know if that was a good analogy, but the point is, when you are doing what you were designed to do and what lights you up and what fulfills you, the money comes to you. So I can't make the decision based on the money, because you'll get the money and be empty. You'll get the money and be miserable. You'll get the money and still be contemplating killing yourself because it didn't bring you happiness. It didn't bring you joy. It didn't bring you fulfillment. So if failure was not an option, would you still be working at the job you're working at? If failure wasn't an option, would you still be in that same relationship? If you weren't afraid of being by yourself, would you choose somebody else? Okay, all right. So you have to identify what is your true desires, and I have to start living and operating from that place. Okay? I gotta honor what truly lights me up. And I'm telling y'all, you're gonna find this when you're willing to pull away from the crowd. When you're willing to pull away from the crowd is where you're gonna find what your true desires are. So many people don't realize how you are influenced based on what we call it's a real concept. It's called groupthink, right? It is so sad because I just had a whole experience last week that reminded me. But groupthink is when your mindset starts to emulate the group or groups that you're around. And nowadays with social media, the group is bigger than just the people that you see every day. The group is your podcast that you're listening to. The group are the videos that you're watching. The groups are the movies that you're watching. This is why I said be very careful about what you're consuming, because what I truly desire can be altered based on what I'm listening to. Okay? All right. Okay. Change societal norms. Investigate the rules and expectations that have been holding you back. One of the things that I did, one of the most powerful questions I asked myself was, why does it have to be that way? Right? When I was growing up and I was just living the way I was taught to live, right? I valued what I was taught to value. I moved the way I was taught to move. This is what you do as a young Black woman. This is what you do if you want to be successful. This is what you do if you want to work in the corporate world. This is what you're supposed to do. And so everybody was telling me what I was supposed to do and who I was supposed to be. And if you want to be successful, you better not wear red hair and you better not do this. I told y'all that, right? I had a college professor when I was graduating who told me, she was like, Brittany, you're really smart, you're really bright, but you may not want to wear red hair when you go on your job interviews. And I was like, really? Why? Why? As if I didn't know why. You don't want to be perceived incorrectly. And I said, okay, I understand that. I get that. But what I'm going to do is give you all of me. Because I don't want to be in the wrong place. I don't want to get accepted into a group that I then have to keep faking in order to stay there. But what I started doing was asking why. Brittany, why does it have to be this way? Right? When I kept putting pressure on myself to be things that I was never designed to be. Pressure on myself to exceed at a certain level that I didn't even want. Pressure to make all A's, Allie. Pressure to live up to certain expectations. Pressure to do and be and have. And I was like, but why though? Why is that even important to you? Is that something that you want to be a part of? Does that define who you are? I had to get to the point where I started asking why. Why does it have to be this way? Why do I have to move this way? Because many times the way we are taught to live, going back to our conversations last week, was built around and designed around the traumatic backgrounds of the people who raised us. When I first moved to Houston, I was so scared to stop at a red light. Scared, terrified to stop at a red light. And I remember, I was like, why are you so, like, every time I stopped at a red light, I would get anxious. And I was like, what's going on? And I remembered when I moved to Houston, my mom told me that when she always told me, don't stop at a red light because you'll get robbed. And I was like, man, like, I can't stop at no red lights. Y'all, I'm running lights. If the light was yellow, I would speed up. I was scared to stop at a red light. I was scared to get gas at a gas station. And one day I was like, why did you tell me that? And she was like, oh, well, when I was young, We took a girls trip to Houston and we got robbed at a red light. I said, so I've been over here scared to stop at red lights because you got robbed on a hot girl weekend in Houston. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Right? So many times the things that our parents gave us was a part of their own fears. It was a part of their own stories. It was a part of their disappointments. It was a part of what didn't work for them. And while they were trying to protect you, many times their story had nothing to do with yours. Many times their story had nothing to do with yours. So if you don't start questioning why you're living out certain rules, why you're living up to certain expectations, you'll never get down to the bottom of whether or not that's something that actually applies to you or not. Does that apply to you? Most times it don't. All right. Okay. And the last one I'll give you guys. I know it's so okay. All right. I'm gonna go with because y'all know I didn't finish my notes. We'll go with self-care. All right. We'll go with self-care. But I want to go with hone your intuition. All right, I'm gonna go with hone your intuition. All right. Being a villain era, I want to empower you that, and my clients have heard me say this before, when y'all come to me and y'all say, well, Brittany, I just don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. Many times we do know. Many times we do know, but we're not trusting our inner guidance to allow us and to inform us of what the right decision is for us in this season. Many times, the reason why you're indecisive and you can't make decisions and you keep changing your mind about what you want to do and who you want to be is because you're not trusting that inner guidance that lets me know what's going on, right? Many times, we are looking for some type of confirmation outside of us to confirm to us that we're on the right path, or I'm doing the right thing, or I should or should not be in this relationship. I should or shouldn't take that job. Many times you know, but you have to give yourself permission to know that you know that you know. And this is why it comes within the villain era, because in the villain era, I got to be willing to own who I am. Are you willing to own that you're supposed to be the disruptor in your family? Are you willing to own that you're supposed to be the generational curse breaker in your family? Are you willing to own that I'm supposed to be the leader in my organization? Are you willing to own that I'm supposed to be the one running the company? Are you willing to own the fact that I'm a lot more than what I let the world know that I am? Are you willing to own that? For years, y'all, for years, one of the things I still do it to this day, but I check it, okay? I'm very quiet, right? Especially when I walk into rooms when people don't know me and I'm very quiet, but I'm quiet intentionally. One, because I like to watch. I people watch, I read, and because I read people so well, one of the things that I used to do, I do not recommend y'all do this at all. Do not. But one of the things I used to do, because I would read people really well, many times I could tell what someone was about within the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of a conversation, right? And when somebody was coming at me sideways, I would never call them on it. Like, I would know that this is who they are, but I would never say anything. And I would just make a mental note and be like, okay, I know who that person is. I see who you are, right? Because I know. Walking into my villain era, I had to say, well, Brittany, it's not enough that you know who they are. You have to let them know that you know who they are so that they stop playing with you. To all of my people who want to avoid conflict and confrontation, to all of my people who don't want to hurt people's feelings, it's not enough that you know who they are. They need to know that you know who they are so that they stop playing with you. And sometimes it's so that they can mention your name in the rooms when they need to be mentioned. So this is where honing my intuition means that what's the word? When you see something, say something. Is that what's in the airports? When I see something, say something, right? No one knows how brilliant you are if you're quiet. No one knows what value you have to add to the conversation when you're quiet. No one knows what you bring to the table with you when you're quiet, right? So learn to be vocal about who I am, what my value is, what I bring to the table, what I need, what my expectations are, all of that. That's a part of my villain era. At the end of the day, you guys, the villain era is disruptive. Allow yourself to be disruptive because nothing grows. I think it's my eyes. Nothing grows without seasons of disruption. Nothing, right? So that is what I have for y'all today. Was this helpful? To all of my new people, if y'all are just joining, this is the Daily Fix. Welcome to the Daily Fix. We do this every morning in the Daily Fix community. If you want to join the Daily Fix, then y'all already know what to do. Go to the dailyfix.co so that you can join us. We do this, Monday through Friday. Our community is a worldwide community. Okay, we got people everywhere. And when you join the community, you get access to all of my sessions for the last year in 4 months? 16 months? So when you join the Daily Fix, you get access to relationship content, boundary content, purpose content. We've talked about it all. So if you are truly trying to grow in this season, the Daily Fix is where you want to be. We've talked about everything: healing, emotional healing. We've talked about PTSD. We've talked about personalities, family conflict. We've talked about it all. So we welcome you to join the Daily Fix so that you can be a part of our conversation. So today was just open to the public, but normally we're behind our paywall. All right. So check out the Daily Fix. I'm glad y'all were here. Y'all have a wonderful Monday morning, and this will be up on my YouTube if y'all want to go watch it on YouTube. Grow with Brittany. Until then, I will see y'all, all my TDF people. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Instagram, I will see y'all later.